Sarah stood frozen in the middle of my bedroom, her half-buttoned blouse slipping from one shoulder, while I sat on the edge of my bed unable to look away. In that single heartbeat, everything I thought I knew about our friendship shattered, and the truth hit me harder than any confession ever could. Kaylee had been in love with me for years, and now there was no pretending otherwise. The air in my small Chicago apartment felt thick enough to choke on. It was a humid Friday evening in late spring, the kind where the city outside buzzed with weekend promises while inside my walls, a silent storm had just broken. I had invited Kaylee over after our usual long workday at the marketing firm downtown. Nothing special, just takeout Thai and a movie like we'd done 100 times before. She was my best friend since freshman year at the University of Illinois. The one person who knew every embarrassing story, every late-night breakdown over grades or family fights, every stupid crush on boys who never stuck around. But tonight was different. I'd spilled red curry sauce on my favorite white tea during dinner, and without thinking twice, I'd peeled it off right there in front of her while rummaging through my closet for something clean. It wasn't like we hadn't seen each other in bras before. College dorms, beach trips, rushed mornings. We'd shared spaces like sisters. Yet when I turned back holding a fresh gray tank top, Kaylee wasn't scrolling her phone or laughing at my clumsiness. She was staring, not glancing, staring with an intensity that pinned me in place, her blue eyes wide and unguarded, lips slightly parted as if the breath had been stolen from her lungs. Kay. My voice came out smaller than I intended. I clutched the tank top to my chest like a shield, suddenly hyper-aware of the way the late sunlight slanted through the blinds, painting golden stripes across my bare skin. You okay? She blinked once, slow, like waking from a trance. Color flooded her cheeks, but she didn't look away. Instead, something raw flickered across her face, fear, relief, and a longing so deep it made my stomach twist. Yeah, she whispered, but the word cracked. I'm fine. She wasn't fine. And neither was I, because in that moment, a dozen tiny memories I'd buried or dismissed as just Kaylee being Kaylee slammed into me all at once. The way she always saved the last bite of dessert for me. How she'd cancel plans with other friends if I needed her. The protective edge in her voice whenever a guy at the bar got too close. The late-night text that said, thinking about you, when everyone else was asleep. I had chalked it up to loyalty, to the unbreakable bond we built after my parents' messy divorce and her own distant family in suburban Ohio. But this was not sisterly. I pulled the tank top on too quickly, the fabric catching on my earrings. My hands trembled. Seriously, what's going on? You're looking at me like I grew a second head. Kaylee stood up from the bed, her movements stiff. At 26, she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who aced every presentation at work and volunteered at the animal shelter on weekends. Tall, athletic build from years of soccer. Blonde hair usually tied back in a practical ponytail but loose tonight, framing a face that turned heads without trying. She was beautiful in that effortless Midwestern way, kind eyes, genuine smile. The kind of person you trusted with your life. But right now she looked cornered. Sarah, she swallowed hard, fingers twisting the hem of her blouse. I didn't mean to stare. It's just you're so. The sentence hung unfinished. My heart hammered against my ribs. Part of me wanted to laugh it off, crack a joke about how I'd gained 5 pounds from all the takeout. The other part, the one that had always felt safest with her, sensed the ground shifting beneath us. I stepped closer without thinking. Kaylee, talk to me. We don't do secrets. That was the wrong thing to say. Or maybe the exact right one. Her eyes met mine again, and this time there were tears gathering at the lashes. I've tried not to. God, Sarah, I've tried for so long. Since sophomore year probably. That night we stayed up studying for finals and you fell asleep on my shoulder? I sat there for hours just watching you breathe, because it felt like the only time I could love you without it ruining everything. The words landed like punches. Sophomore year. That was 6 years ago. 6 years of movie nights, road trips to Michigan beaches, crying over breakups that were never with each other. 6 years of me dating guys, some decent, most not. While Kaylee smiled and picked up the pieces afterward, I replayed every hug that lasted a second too long. Every time she'd brush my hair back from my face just because. How had I been so blind? I don't know what to say. I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. My mind raced. Was I supposed to feel disgusted? Flattered? Scared? The truth was I felt none of those cleanly. Instead, a confusing warmth spread through my chest, tangled with panic. Kaylee was my constant. My safe place. What if this destroyed us? She took a shaky step back, misreading my silence. Forget I said anything. Please. I'll go. We can pretend this never happened. I'll transfer teams at work if I have to. Just don't hate me. Hate you. The idea was absurd. I reached out and caught her wrist before she could grab her purse. Her skin was warm, pulse racing under my fingers. Kay, I could never hate you. This is just a lot. I need a minute to process. We stood there in the golden light, inches apart, the city noise fading outside. Her eyes searched mine for rejection, for pity, for anything familiar. I didn't pull away. Instead, something unspoken passed between us. A fragile bridge over years of hidden waters. But bridges like that are built on trust, and I had no idea if I could cross it without falling. That night, Kaylee didn't leave. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, Thai food forgotten and cold, talking in halting circles. She told me how the feelings had grown slowly, how she dated a few women in college but always compared them to me and found them lacking. How every time I introduced a new boyfriend, it felt like a knife twist. Yet she stayed because losing me entirely was worse than the ache of loving silently. I listened, nodding, asking questions that revealed how little I truly knew about her heart. My own feelings, a swirling mess of affection, guilt for being oblivious, and a terrifying curiosity about what it might mean if I let myself feel more. By midnight, exhaustion won. She crashed on the couch. I retreated to my bed. Sleep didn't come easy. I lay staring at the ceiling, replaying the stare that started it all. The next morning, sunlight brought no clarity, only the heavy knowledge that nothing between us would ever be the same. The weekend stretched into a fragile truce. Kaylee and I moved around each other like dancers who'd forgotten the steps. Polite, careful, hyper-aware of every brush of hands while making coffee or reaching for the same remote. By Sunday afternoon, the initial shock had settled into a dull thrum of anxiety in my gut. I kept catching myself studying her profile while she pretended to read on her phone. The curve of her jaw, the way her lashes cast shadows on her cheeks. It wasn't lust, not exactly. It was recognition. Like seeing a painting you'd walked past 1,000 times and suddenly noticing the hidden signature. Monday at the office in the Loop brought its own complications. Our firm handled campaigns for everything from local startups to national brands, and Kaylee and I were on the same creative team. We'd always been an unbeatable pair. My wild ideas paired with her meticulous execution. But now every meeting felt loaded. When our boss, Mr. Harlan, praised the pitch we'd prepped together for a skincare client, Kaylee's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. I wondered if anyone else noticed the new tension. During lunch, we escaped to the rooftop terrace overlooking the river. The wind whipped at our hair as we ate salads from the downstairs deli. So, I started poking at cherry tomatoes. Are we going to talk about it or keep acting like roommates who barely know each other? Kaylee set her fork down. Her expression was guarded but honest. I don't want to pressure you, Sarah. Coming out to you like that, it was selfish. I've carried this for years. You just found out in the worst way possible. If you need space, take it. I'll survive. Space. The word tasted wrong. Space meant distance, and distance from Kaylee had always felt like missing a limb. That's not what I want. I'm just figuring out what this means for me. For us. I've only ever dated guys. My mom still asks about that last one, Derek, like he's going to magically reappear and give her grandkids. Mentioning my mother was a mistake. Kaylee knew the stories, how mom had moved back to her small Indiana hometown after the divorce, remarried a conservative church deacon named Richard, and built a life centered on traditional values. Family dinners where politics and family values dominated. Subtle digs about my single status at 26. The pressure to settle down before I wasted my best years. If mom found out her only daughter was even considering a woman, it would detonate like a bomb. Kaylee reached across the table but stopped short of touching my hand. Your mom doesn't have to know yet. Or ever if that's what you choose. This doesn't have to change everything. But it already had. That evening after work, we walked along the lakefront instead of heading straight home. Chicago's skyline glittered across the water as joggers and bikers streamed past. Kaylee opened up more. About the nights she'd cried alone after I'd gush about some guy. About therapy she'd started last year to manage her feelings. About the fear that admitting it would make me pull away forever. Her vulnerability cracked something in me. I found myself sharing too. The emptiness I felt in past relationships, how no guy had ever made me feel as seen as she did. How safe. We stopped at a quiet bench. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in pinks and oranges. Without planning it, I leaned my head on her shoulder. She stiffened, then relaxed, one arm tentatively circling my waist. It felt natural. Terrifyingly natural. No fireworks, no dramatic kiss. Just quiet closeness that whispered possibilities I wasn't ready to name. The peace didn't last. Tuesday brought the first real fracture. My younger brother Ethan called from college in Michigan. He was the golden child straight-A athlete, engaged to his high school sweetheart. "Hey sis, mom's planning a big family barbecue next month for dad's birthday. Well, Richards. She wants you there. Bring that friend of yours if you want. Kaylee, right? She's basically family." The casual invitation landed like lead. Kaylee had joined family events before. Always the perfect +1. But now the idea of her sitting across from mom's probing questions, while I navigated this new truth, felt impossible. I mumbled something non-committal and hung up, then immediately regretted it. When I told Kaylee later that night over pizza at my place, her face fell. "So I'm still the safe friend invite," she said quietly, picking at a pepperoni. "Not that I expected anything else. But it stings, Sarah. Knowing I have to keep pretending when all I want is to hold your hand in public without it being a secret." Her words stirred guilt and defensiveness in equal measure. "It's not that simple. My family isn't like yours. Mom would lose her mind. Richard would quote Bible verses. Ethan might try to be supportive, but he's wrapped up in his perfect straight life. I need time to figure out who I even am before I blow up everyone else's world." Kaylee stood, pacing the small living room. "Time? I've given us years of time without you even knowing. Now that you do, every day I hide feels like lying. But fine. Your pace. Just don't ask me to keep coming to family stuff like nothing's changed. I can't keep playing the supportive best friend when I'm in love with you." The word love hung between us, heavy and undeniable. I wanted to reach for her, to promise it would all work out. Instead, I sat there paralyzed, the weight of potential loss pressing down. What if choosing to explore this meant losing my family? What if ignoring it meant losing her? That night, for the first time, Kaylee went home instead of staying over. The apartment felt emptier than ever. Word count for file 2. Approximately 1,015 words. File 3. Work became a minefield. By the end of the week, our team noticed the shift. Subtle things, shorter conversations in the break room, me avoiding eye contact during brainstorming sessions. Our colleague Marcus, the loud jokester of the group, cornered me by the coffee machine on Friday. "You and Kaylee fighting? You two are usually attached at the hip." Spill. I forced a laugh. "Just stressed about the big client deadline. No big deal." He didn't buy it but let it drop. Kaylee, meanwhile, threw herself into work with ferocious focus, staying late to perfect decks while I escaped early, claiming headaches. The distance hurt more than I expected. I missed her easy laughter, the way she'd bring me exactly the right snack during all-nighters. More than that, I missed the version of myself that didn't question every feeling. Saturday brought confrontation I couldn't dodge. Kaylee texted asking to meet at our favorite coffee shop in Wicker Park. Neutral ground. I arrived early, nursing a latte, watching hipsters and families pass by the window. When she walked in wearing jeans and a soft blue sweater that matched her eyes, my heart did a stupid flip. She looked tired, shadows under her eyes, but still impossibly pulled together. We sat outside at a small table under string lights. "I've been thinking," she started, voice steady but laced with pain. "Maybe this was a mistake. Telling you. I've disrupted your whole life. You deserve to be happy without my baggage weighing you down." The suggestion stung like betrayal. "Don't do that. Don't decide for me what I deserve. Yes, it's messy. Yes, I'm scared. But pushing me away isn't the answer. I've spent the week replaying everything, Kay. And I think I feel something too. Not the same way, maybe not yet. But when you're not around, everything feels wrong." Hope flickered in her expression, quickly tempered by realism. "Something? Sarah, I'm not asking for half measures. I can't be your experiment while you figure out if you're bi or curious or whatever. I love you enough to want all of you or none. That means facing what this could cost. Your family, your comfort. The straight life everyone expects. Her directness forced me to confront the mouth-wand tearing me apart. Society's voice echoed loud. Chicago was progressive, sure, but my Indiana roots, my mother's church circles, the casual assumptions at work and family gatherings screamed that this path led to judgment, whispers, maybe even ostracism. I'd seen friends drift from conservative families after coming out. I didn't want to be another statistic. Yet sitting across from Kaylee, watching the way sunlight caught her hair, feeling the pull to lean in and bridge the gap with more than words, it felt like denying truth. We talked for hours. She shared stories from online forums and support groups she'd quietly attended. Women who'd lost siblings' respect, mothers who stopped calling, careers stalled by office gossip. I countered with my fears. Mom's health issues, how a family rift might worsen them. The practical nightmare of explaining this to relatives who still sent Christmas cards assuming I'd marry a nice man someday. We debated morality, not in abstract religious terms but personal ones. What was the greater wrong? Living a lie that slowly killed us both? Or risking pain for the chance at real happiness? By evening, no neat resolution. We walked back to my apartment in charged silence. At the door, Kaylee hesitated. I'm not giving up on us. But I need you to choose, Sarah. Not today. Soon. Because waiting is its own kind of torture. Inside, alone, I curled on the couch with my laptop, scrolling articles about lesbian experiences, family rejection, successful coming outs. The stories mirrored my terror and offered glimmers of hope. But one line stuck. Every choice had a price. What was I willing to pay? Sunday brought external pressure that accelerated everything. My mother called. Sarah, honey, Richard and I are driving up next weekend. We want to see your new place, meet your friends. That Kaylee girl always seems so nice. Is she seeing anyone special yet? The innocent question felt like a trap. I lied smoothly, busy with work, maybe next month. Hanging up, guilt gnawed deeper. Hiding Kaylee now felt like erasing her. Like the years of friendship meant nothing in the face of potential romance. That evening, Kaylee showed up unannounced with flowers. Simple daisies, my favorite. Not a date, she said quickly. Just I missed you. And I realized pushing for an answer immediately was unfair. We can take it slow. Friends figuring it out. No pressure. Relief mixed with disappointment. I let her in. We cooked pasta together, shoulders brushing in the tiny kitchen, laughter returning tentatively. As we ate on the couch watching an old rom-com, her hand found mine during a quiet scene. I didn't pull away. The touch sent warmth through me, quiet and profound. In that moment, the conflict inside quieted. Maybe slow is possible. But life rarely allows slow when secrets simmer. Monday morning at work, Marcus accidentally forwarded an email chain that included a private message from Kaylee to me. Something innocuous about lunch, but the context of our recent distance made it look suspicious. Whispers started. By afternoon, our boss pulled us both in for a vague team dynamics talk. Nothing explicit, but the implication was clear. Personal issues couldn't affect performance. Kaylee was furious on the walk home. This is exactly what I feared. Now we're the office rumor. And I hate that it makes me feel ashamed when I'm not. I defended the status quo out of habit. It's just gossip. We'll ride it out. But her next words cut deep. Riding it out means I keep hiding who I am. For how long, Sarah? Until your mom visits and we pretend again? Until you date another guy to keep up appearances? I can't do that anymore. The argument escalated in my living room. Voices raised, accusations flying. Me calling her impatient, her accusing me of cowardice. Tears came. In the heat, Kaylee grabbed her jacket. Maybe we need real space. I'll request a team transfer tomorrow. The door slammed behind her. I sank to the floor, the weight of my indecision crushing. Had I just lost her by refusing to choose? The transfer request went through faster than expected. By Wednesday, Kaylee was moved to the client strategy team on another floor. The office felt colder without her easy presence in meetings. Colleagues asked questions I dodged. Alone at my desk, I stared at old photos on my phone. Us at Lollapalooza, laughing in the rain. Road trip to Door County, her arm around my shoulders. The ache was physical. I threw myself into distractions. Gym after work. Calling old college friends who didn't know the full story. Even swiping on a dating app one sleepless night. Matching with a guy named Alex who seemed nice. The coffee date Friday was polite but hollow. His jokes landed flat. His touch when he hugged goodbye felt wrong. Walking home, I realized the experiment had backfired. It only clarified what I was avoiding. That night, I texted Kaylee for the first time since the fight. "Can we talk?" "Not at work." She replied after an hour. "My place. Tomorrow noon." Her apartment in Logan Square was cozy, filled with plants and soccer memorabilia. She answered the door in leggings and an oversized hoodie, hair messy, eyes wary. We sat at her small kitchen table with tea neither of us drank. "I went on a date," I admitted first, ripping off the bandage. "With a guy." It felt empty, because all I could think about was you. Kaylee's grip tightened on her mug. "And that changes what exactly? You still won't tell your family. You still froze when office gossip started. I'm tired of being the secret, Sarah. I deserve someone who chooses me openly." Her pain was valid, and it mirrored my own self-loathing. I told her about Mom's impending visit, the pressure building like a tidal wave. How coming out wasn't just about us. It risked fracturing the fragile peace I'd built post-divorce. Richard's conservative views, Mom's fear of what people will say at church, the potential silence on holidays, deleted from family photos. Kaylee listened, then shared her side. Her own family in Ohio knew she was gay and had been lukewarm. Supportive in theory, distant in practice. No dramatic rejection but no warm acceptance either. "I've already paid part of the price. Now I'm asking if you're willing to pay yours. Because love isn't just feelings. It's action. It's standing beside me when it gets hard." We moved to the couch. Conversation turned gentler, reminiscing about how our friendship began. A shared late-night study session where she'd shared her last granola bar. Laughter returned, then quiet. When she tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, the gesture felt charged. This time I didn't freeze. I leaned in. Our first kiss was tentative, soft, tasting of tea and years of restraint. No fireworks but a deep sense of rightness that settled the chaos inside me. When we pulled back, her eyes were bright with tears. "I've wanted that for so long." "Me too," I whispered, surprised by how true it felt. Even if I didn't know it. The weekend became ours. We stayed in, talking, holding hands, sharing tentative touches that explored boundaries without rushing. No pressure for more. Just presence. For those 48 hours, the outside world, family, work, society faded. I felt seen, desired, safe in a way no past relationship had offered. But reality intruded Sunday evening. Mom texted confirmation. "Arriving Friday with Richard for the weekend. Can't wait to catch up and see your life here." Panic returned full force. Kaylee sensed it immediately. "You don't have to tell them this trip. But if we're doing this, we can't keep hiding forever. I won't be your hidden girlfriend." The word girlfriend both thrilled and terrified. We argued again. Not as harshly, but the core conflict remained. My fear of loss versus her need for honesty. She gave me an ultimatum wrapped in love. Figure it out before Mom left, or we'd have to reconsider. Monday at work, the separation chafed. I caught glimpses of her in the elevator, professional smiles masking everything. During a team lunch, Marcus joked about the Kaylee situation, and I snapped at him for the first time. The incident spread. By afternoon, HR suggested a mediation session to improve collaboration. The professional fallout of our personal drama added another layer of stress. That evening alone, I journaled for hours, listing pros and cons, fears and hopes. The page filled with evidence that Kaylee had been my true partner all along. The price of denial was loneliness. The price of truth was uncertainty. Which was heavier? Tuesday brought a breaking point. My brother Ethan called again, casually mentioning Mom had asked if I was seeing anyone serious. He'd covered for me, but the question lingered. Hanging up, I realized the web of lies was tightening. I couldn't sustain it. I drove to Kaylee's after work unannounced. She opened the door surprised. Without preamble, I said, "I'm telling them. Not everything at once, but that we're together. During the visit. I choose you." Her expression shifted from shock to cautious joy. She pulled me inside, kissing me with relief and passion. "You're sure?" The fallout. I'm scared as hell. But losing you scares me more. We spent the night planning. Gentle words, boundaries, escape routes if needed. Her support strengthened my resolve. Yet as I drove home in the dark, doubt crept back. Was this bravery or selfishness? Would my family survive the revelation, or would I break them? The visit loomed like Judgment Day. Friday arrived too soon. Mom and Richard pulled up in their sensible SUV outside my building, Mom waving enthusiastically from the passenger seat. She looked older than last time. More gray in her hair, lines of worry etched deeper. Richard, tall and stern in his polo shirt, offered a firm handshake. Good to see you, Sarah. Place looks nice. Kaylee had agreed to join for dinner that first night, neutral as the longtime friend. We'd rehearsed lines, but tension hummed beneath every smile. Over Italian at a local trattoria, conversation flowed on safe topics. My job, Ethan's engagement, the weather. Then Mom turned to Kaylee with that probing maternal gaze. So dear, any special someone in your life? You're such a catch. Sarah's always singing your praises. Kaylee's fork paused. Our eyes met across the table. In that split second, I saw her silent plea, now or never. My heart pounded so hard I feared they'd hear it. Actually, I said, voice steadier than I felt, Kaylee and I were together. As more than friends. The table fell silent. Mom's face drained of color. Richard set his wine glass down with deliberate calm. What do you mean, together? I reached for Kaylee's hand under the table, squeezing it for courage. We're dating. In a relationship. I've realized I'm in love with her. It's new for me, but it's real. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Sarah Elizabeth, this is a joke. You've always dated boys. Good boys. This is some phase, some city influence. Kaylee, honey, you've been like a daughter to us. How could you do this? The words sliced deep. Accusation, disappointment, denial all at once. Kaylee's grip tightened, but she spoke evenly. I didn't do anything to her, Mrs. Thompson. I've loved Sarah for years. Respectfully. Quietly. This isn't manipulation. It's honest. Richard cleared his throat, voice low and measured like Sunday sermons. The Bible is clear on this. We love you, Sarah, but we can't condone sin. This lifestyle, it destroys families. Think of your future. Children. What will people say? The restaurant noise faded. I felt exposed, raw. Years of internalized shame bubbled up. Every casual homophobic comment at holidays, every assumption I'd let slide. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. This isn't a lifestyle. It's who I am. Who we are. I'm not asking for approval today. I'm asking for a chance to show you it doesn't make me less your daughter. Kaylee makes me happy in a way no one else has. Mom stood abruptly, chair scraping. I need air. Richard followed her outside, leaving Kaylee and me in stunned silence. She looked devastated but resolute. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pushed. No, I said, voice breaking. This had to happen. The pretending was killing us both. The rest of the evening unraveled. Mom returned composed but distant, insisting they'd stay at a hotel instead of my place. Conversations turned polite and clipped. Richard quoted scripture softly. Mom avoided eye contact with Kaylee entirely. By the time they left for the night, the fracture felt irreparable. Saturday was worse. Brunch plans dissolved into Mom cornering me alone while Richard ran errands. This is that girl's influence. She's confused you. You were always such a good girl. Think of your father, God rest him, how disappointed he'd be. Or your brother's wedding. How do we explain this? Her tears broke me more than anger. I defended us, citing love, authenticity, modern understanding. But her pain was real, rooted in fear and her own upbringing. Kaylee waited outside, giving space, but the damage spread. When I finally emerged, she took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug right there on the sidewalk. Passers-by glanced, I didn't care. That afternoon, Ethan called after Mom apparently phoned him in tears. Sis, what the hell? Mom's hysterical. Is this for real? Kaylee? She's great, but dude. His confusion stung. I explained as best I could, voice raw. He promised to talk to Mom but sounded torn. Loyal to family tradition yet loving his sister. The call ended with him saying he needed time. Another relationship strained. Sunday's departure was icy. Mom hugged me stiffly, whispering, "We'll pray for you. Call when you come to your senses." Richard nodded curtly. No hug for Kaylee. As their car pulled away, I collapsed into Kaylee's arms on the curb, sobbing the grief of partial rejection. The weeks that followed tested us. Family group chats went quiet. Ethan's texts became sporadic. Work gossip died down but left awkwardness. Kaylee and I grew closer through it: date nights, honest conversations about boundaries, therapy sessions. I started to unpack internalized bias. She never said, "I told you so," only held me through nightmares of lost family. Yet the cost was tangible. Holidays approached with uncertainty. Mom sent a card but no invitation. Richard's silence spoke volumes. I questioned my choice daily. Had I traded one family for another? Was love worth this isolation? Kaylee sensed the doubt. One evening, as we lay on the couch watching rain streak the windows, she turned to me. "If it's too much, I understand. I never wanted to force you into this pain." Her selflessness broke me again. "No. You're my home now. But it hurts. And I hate that it does." We held each other tighter. The drama of revelation giving way to quiet resilience. Small victories came. Ethan texting a neutral "miss you." A work project where Kaylee and I collaborated successfully again. But the deeper wound lingered. The knowledge that full acceptance might never come. That every future gathering carried risk of renewed conflict. Through it all, my love for her deepened. The woman who'd stared that fateful evening had become my partner, my anchor. Yet the question of worth remained, echoing in quiet moments. Months blurred into a new normal. Summer faded to crisp autumn in Chicago, leaves turning gold along the lakefront paths where Kaylee and I now walked openly, hands linked without glancing over our shoulders. Therapy helped me name the guilt and grief. Kaylee's steady presence grounded me when waves of doubt crashed. We built rituals. Sunday brunches at our favorite spot, weekend hikes outside the city, quiet evenings where words weren't needed. Work stabilized too. The team adjusted. Some colleagues even offered quiet support after the initial buzz faded. Our professional synergy returned stronger, informed by personal honesty. Yet family remained the open wound. Mom's calls were infrequent and careful, steering clear of the issue. Richard sent a generic birthday card. Ethan visited once in October. Awkward at first but warming over beers. "I don't get it fully," he admitted. "But you seem happier. That counts." Mom's struggling though. Church friends asking questions. She cries sometimes. His words reopened the ache. I wanted reconciliation, not estrangement. Kaylee encouraged gentle outreach. Letters, photos of us happy together, invitations without demands. Responses were polite but lukewarm. The silence carried judgment, a constant reminder of the price. Winter brought crisis. Mom fell ill, pneumonia that lingered, complicated by her anxiety. Doctors recommended rest and family support. Ethan called urgently. "She keeps asking for you, but she says only if you know." Alone. The ultimatum twisted like a knife. Kaylee, ever supportive, urged me to go. "Family first right now. I'll be here when you get back." No resentment. Indiana felt foreign driving down I-65. The hometown streets, the church steeple, Mom's modest house with its perfectly trimmed lawn. She looked frail in bed, oxygen tube at her nose, but her eyes sharpened when I entered alone. Richard hovered protectively. We talked for hours, halting, tearful. She expressed fears of losing me to a different world. Worries about grandchildren, social shame. I shared my journey. The confusion, the joy with Kaylee, the growth. Not debate but vulnerability. For the first time, she listened without immediate scripture or dismissal. "I love you," she whispered finally. "But I don't know if I can accept this fully. It goes against everything I believe." It wasn't victory but it was progress. A crack in the wall. Richard remained reserved but didn't argue. I stayed 3 days, helping with meals, sitting quietly. On departure, Mom squeezed my hand. "Bring her next time." "Maybe. I'll try." The drive back felt lighter though not resolved. Kaylee met me at the door with open arms and takeout. "How was it?" Her voice held no expectation, only love. "Hard. But hopeful." I pulled her close. "Thank you for giving me space to do it." Winter holidays tested the fragile bridge. We spent Christmas Eve with Kaylee's more accepting family in Ohio, warm, if slightly awkward. Mom sent gifts via mail, including one addressed to both of us. Small steps. New Year's brought reflection. The stare that changed everything had led through betrayal of old norms, painful confrontations, moral wrestling, and eventual awakening. By spring, a year after that bedroom moment, we stood stronger. I had lost some illusions of easy acceptance but gained authenticity. Kaylee had risked rejection and won partnership. Our love wasn't perfect or painless. It carried scars of family strain and societal side-eyes, but it was chosen daily. One evening on the lakefront, as cherry blossoms fell around us, Kaylee turned with that same intense gaze from the beginning. No regrets. I kissed her softly. None that outweigh this. Yet as we walked home hand in hand, the deeper question lingered for us, for families everywhere, for society. Is the courage to live your truth worth the pain it inflicts on those who cannot, or will not understand it?